Hi, I think we're just going to give people a minute or so to have an opportunity to join us. So just sit tight for a few. Thank you. Just a few more seconds and we'll get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome. My name is Stephen Schwartz. I'm the COO from Narrative. And I am joined here by my colleague, Yuri Bushi, who's our VP of Product. And thanks for joining us for a discussion about successful strategies for data sharing. Appreciate your participation. We're going to go through a few slides, and then importantly, we're going to leave some time to show you our platform, which is really established to make data sharing very easy, very efficient. But before we dive into that, let's just talk about some of the benefits of data sharing. As many of you already probably know, data is an extraordinarily powerful tool. It can be when it's leveraged properly. It can provide for deeper insights about business. It can really, really drive new sources of revenue. And it can also, importantly, drive great efficiencies across organizations. For example, a company with whom we partner discovered after we started working with them that they were completely replicating efforts in different regions of the world, and they were able to stop one of those efforts and actually reclaim those resources. So it can be very efficient. It can be very powerful. It can drive collaboration and really fuel innovation and decision making. Next slide. So what are some of the technical considerations? Well, to do it well, there's a lot to consider. How will different business units standardize data so they can drive impact across those data sets? Where will the data be stored? How can different stakeholders, both internally and externally, discover and then find data that is useful to them? Is there a safe and secure system of record for compliance purposes that actually makes it very transparent what data is being shared with whom, to whom, when, how, all of those important considerations. So there's a lot that goes into doing data sharing well, a lot to consider, and a lot of effort, frankly, without help. So here, I'm not going to read each and every one of the things on this list. I mean, this is some of the work, just a partial list of the work that needs to get done to do data sharing well and right. And of course, you know, a lot of this just represents the setup, and then there's ongoing maintenance. And the amount of resources that can take can be pretty significant. Some of this can be a pretty heavy lift without help. And I think this is one of the reasons why we don't see more companies doing more data sharing and realizing some of those benefits that I outlined on the first slide. Importantly, a lot of this work, while important, is not high value work for your top talent, your top data scientists, your top engineers. So making the decision to put that talent onto tasks like these is a very hard decision to make. And that's why many companies aren't yet data sharing as successfully as we'd like to see them. But we have solutions. Narrative software has been built specifically to make data sharing very easy. And really importantly, tackling almost all of those tasks that you saw on the prior slide and liberating your top talent to do higher value work. And we're going to get into a demo, and that does a much better job than me trying to describe it. But narrative software was specifically designed to make data sharing really easy in a no-code way, tackling warehousing, cataloging, interoperability, delivery, discoverability, all these things. So we're really, really excited to show you, just give you a little taste of the product. Of course, we have limited time here, but for anybody who's interested, we'd love to dive even more deeply, and we'll certainly make ourselves available to do so. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Yuri, now, who's going to show you the narrative platform. Quickly, we have one more slide. Just one customer that has been working with us for a while, kind of sort of sums up what I've been saying and how they really have enabled their own scale and their own data sharing strategies using narrative. So now over to Yuri to show you the product. Thank you.
Great. Great. Thanks, everyone. Sorry about that. I'll be speaking through Steven's microphone, it looks like. Yeah, so I am excited to show you through the narrative platform. The narrative platform and the way that our users interact with it all centers around the idea of apps that are built on top of the narrative backend. One way that we've been describing the narrative backend recently is as a database that has specialized features for allowing a company to share the tables in that database, both with other members of their own company or account, as well as with other companies outside of their account. And we basically have set out specialized access rules for all of those tables in the database that allow you to say, here is who should have access to my data. Here is the version of the data that they should have access to. Here are the fields they should have access to. And they can access that data either at zero cost or through a financial transaction that takes place through the narrative platform. And so the way that we expose that powerful backend to business users is through a series of apps. I'm going to talk through three of our most kind of interesting or kind of the core apps on the platform today. Dataset Manager. Dataset Manager is our tool for helping you ingest data into the platform and turn it into a dataset. The dataset is really the core building block of the platform. The dataset represents data that you can either choose to share within your own company or with other companies, that you can choose to slice and dice and merchandise using our Seller Studio app, which is where we'll spend a large part of this demo, or where others outside of your company can create new data sets by querying the data that lives in a data set in Buyer Studio. So we'll just take a brief dip into Dataset Manager. Dataset Manager makes it really easy for you to get data onto the platform, for you to start to catalog it, describe it, and then determine where it can be used in the rest of the platform. So here you can see some of the data sets that we've already ingested to the platform. And Dataset Manager makes it really easy for you to inform narrative of the schema of your data set. Tell us where to get the data, whether you want to upload it through the website with a kind of drag and drop interface, or whether you want us to ingest that data from your cloud platform, and then helps you manage updates to the data, versioning of the data, understand when we last pulled data in from your cloud platform, if that's how you're working with us, and then manage where that data can go through Seller Studio. So here you can see that we have a couple of different data sets representing a couple different use cases. We're going to focus today on this consumer purchase data CPG purchase, category, and UPC. Various fields of data related to a data set that is offline purchases or records of someone's purchase history. So after having uploaded that data set into the platform using Dataset Manager, your next step might be to come into Seller Studio and decide it is time to create a data product, or what we call on the platform a data stream out of that data set. So I'm going to click New Data Stream. We're going to choose Consumer Purchase Data, CPG. And we are going to say, in this new data product, what is the data that I am making available? So I'm going here you can decide whether you want an individual field of the data to be delivered. So that means it's going to be included in this data stream, in this data product when someone purchases it off the shelf. I'm also going to filter on some other aspects of the data. So we're going to filter on, let's say, brand and date of purchase here. Filters are basically our tool for helping you query the data that you already have and start to cut it up and decide how to merchandise it. So we're going to say email is a required attribute to be delivered as part of this data stream. We are going to say that we are looking for a brand, like we can say Crest as the brand. So anyone who has purchased a product from Crest as part of this data set. And we're going to say the date of purchase needs to be within the past 30 days. So I'll say add a rolling look back window, past 30 days. After selecting the data that you want to have included in this data set, you come into the offer screen, and here's where you can decide which channels do you want to make this data product available on. And I'll show off these channels in a sec. So you can say, I want to have it make it available within Narrative's data stream marketplace, which is basically the Narrative shopping mall for all of our off-the-shelf products provided by sellers in our marketplace. You can choose to have it exposed in your own data shop. So we help you build a branded kind of e-commerce for data storefront that you can host on your own site, or that we can host for you, where you can allow users to log in and search for any of these data products. And then you can even have that data shipped off to other marketplaces. So here we have installed a Trade Desk connector, which allows you to say, I want this data to be pushed directly into my marketplace account at the Trade Desk and made available within their marketplace by giving it a specific partner ID and a price within the Trade Desk, which is represented as a revenue share and a CPM cap. Next, we get to the merchandising aspect. So we're going to call this data set toothpaste shoppers last 30 days. You can see that we give you a slug, which is the place on your own data shop, the URL on your own data shop where this data set will be made available. You can give the data set a detailed description and an image and a category. And we have even recently integrated with OpenAI so that we will generate that description for you based on the fields in the data set, as well as the description of the data set that you've given it above. And then finally, you can review the price and the image that we're going to use to push that data set that data stream into each of the various channels and destinations that you are configuring within Seller Studio. So hopefully you can see how simple it is for a business user to come in, manipulate a data set, turn it into an off-the-shelf product. Seller Studio is also where you can set up access rules to allow the data that you are working with to be purchased not just as an off-the-shelf product, but as a purchased on a row-by-row basis within our Buyer Studio product.
I was just going to quickly add, Yuri's obviously talking about a use case, talking a lot about buyers and sellers. Clearly, our platform is very, very well positioned to support data, people who have data assets they want to sell, people who need data assets to buy. but all the capabilities, all the functionality, and we actually have clients using it for internal purposes only, so pure data sharing. So the platform itself is completely agnostic. Large corporations are using it. Small data sellers are using it. Some companies are using it both for internal data sharing and data acquisition from external parties as well. So completely agnostic and flexible as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other apps that we'd like to show off here, which touches on some of the value adds that that Stephen was just talking about, is our Buyer Studio app. So again, Seller Studio, the tool for taking data that already lives in a data set that you've already created or are managing within your account, and choosing how others can access that either within your company or outside of your company. Buyer Studio is really a tool for taking data sets that exist within your company or outside of your company and creating new data sets out of them. That Buyer Studio is our tool for searching across data that exists within the system that has been permissioned to your account and allowing you to create a new data set and then do whatever you want with that data set. And one of the really exciting pieces of functionality that enables that activity is our Rosetta Stone product, which is basically our backend for mapping all of the fields in every data set in the platform into one of the standard attributes in the narrative taxonomy. So an attribute basically represents a normalized piece of data. So we have taken, for instance, every event timestamp in the platform that can be pushed in all of the million different ways that an event timestamp can appear. And we've turned it into one single event timestamp output and format so that you can both search on an event timestamp across two different data sets that might be owned by maybe your company and another company, or both by your company, but uploaded with a completely different format. And when you create the new data set, they will be delivered to you in that normalized format as well to make that data easier to reason about, easier to use once it has been pulled into your own data set. And right now we have, 103 of these attributes representing everything from, I think we have traffic tickets and violations. We have population counts. We have unique identifiers. We have things like hashed email or mobile unique identifier for advertising. And you can see how you can basically construct a query very similar to what I was doing on the sell side to pull in the data that matches exactly to the data that you're interested in pulling in. So I'm going to set up one of those queries now, and I'm going to show. Let's say that we are trying to purchase some data, kind of like what we were just showing previously. So we're going to pull in unique identifiers. We will filter on event timestamp, and let's say we want a category, the product category. Just like we were showing on the previous screen, you can add some filters for the search. So assuming that you're looking for data that is owned by another company, you might set a price ceiling on the amount that you're willing to pay per row of data or per 1,000 rows of data. You can also set this to $0 if you're only looking at data that is being shared with you, on a full access pass basis or for free, or data within your own company. One really powerful tool that we want to show off here is the ability to join a data set. So I can choose a data set like that consumer purchase CPG data set, which has a set of unique identifiers within it, and say, I only want to pull back rows of data from either my own data sets or other data sets outside of that data set that include that unique identifier or exclude that unique identifier. So you can use this to find either data owned by someone else that is incremental to data that you have that you don't already have, or that's related to data that you have, that can basically augment the data that you have. Again, you can do things like set up an event timestamp, look for data that's only been uploaded to the platform within the past 90 days. You can filter on things like the category to either include or exclude something like Clorox. And importantly, you can deduplicate this data across all, across all of the different data sets that you're about to pull in. So you can say, I really only want one unique identifier or one combination of unique identifier and timestamp for every to be pulled back into the data set, so that you're not ever paying for or pulling back duplicate data if you don't want to be. Again, you can select which provider to work with. So you can say, I should be pulling in from all other providers on the platform, or include or exclude a specific list. Or if you only want to work with data with your own company, you can type your own company into this Dropbox. You can choose where the data should be pushed to. So once the new data set has been created, it can be made available either for you to download from the Narrative platform, or you can have it pushed into your favorite cloud platform. So here we have the S3 connector set up, or you can have that data pushed into, for instance, a Facebook Ad Manager account, where you will be able to use it for advertising activation. If you're buying data that has a cost, you can change this from $0 to $5, and you can choose how often to reset your budget, as well as how often you want to have that data delivered, whether this is a one-time data delivery, whether you want us to set up a data pipeline for you that we run this query and ship all the new data to you whenever it comes up, once an hour, once a day, once a month. Then basically you can continue and either add a payment method if you need to pay for this data, or you can skip that step if it's for free, and have that data set basically set up to be delivered to your account basically within the hour that we will execute that query and have that data delivered to you.
So Yuri packed a lot in a very short demo. I think we're pretty much at time here. More than happy to connect with people individually, give deeper demos. So just let us know, and we'd be more than happy to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, everyone.